Imagine being attacked with words, a cruel comment, an unfair criticism, a disguised provocation. Most people defend themselves, justify, or explode. But what if you could react differently? What if, in the very moment of the attack, you became a wall of calm, a cold mirror that reflects the blow effortlessly? This is what the Stoics called mastery of the self. Today, I'll show you the Stoic method that turns any attack into a demonstration of inner strength. Type in the comments right now, "My calm is my weapon." That phrase will remind you that your real power lies in your unshakable composure. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's the key. The world will try to push you off balance. People will test your patience, provoke you, and try to pull you into chaos. But the wise person doesn't react impulsively. He observes, understands, and then decides whether it's even worth responding. The attack is the test, your reaction is the result. Before learning the technique, you must understand what really happens when someone attacks you. Most people think they're being criticized because they did something wrong. That's the fatal error. Almost always, the attack says more about the attacker than the target. As Epictetus taught, what disturbs men are not things, but their opinions about things. An attack is nothing more than an opinion, and often a disguised confession. Usually the attacker reveals one of three human weaknesses: insecurity, envy, or the need for control. Insecurity makes people attack to feel superior. Criticism becomes their way of hiding inadequacy. Envy appears when your discipline or peace bothers them. Your calm is a mirror reflecting their own lack of control. And the need for control drives people to provoke, because if they can make you react, they feel powerful. Once you understand this, the attack changes form. It's no longer an arrow, it's information. It's no longer personal, it's psychological data. You stop being the target and become the observer. This is what the Stoics called controlling impressions, seeing things as they are, not as your emotions paint them. When you do that, power shifts to you. Now comes the Stoic three-step method: reflect, deflect, and reframe. This is the art of winning without reacting. The first step is to reflect, and the paradox is that this first move is actually no movement at all. It's silence, the act of doing nothing. When someone insults, criticizes, or provokes you, the body wants to react, the ego wants to defend, the voice wants to rise. But this is the exact moment when the Stoic practices the pause. He becomes a clear mirror. The attack arrives and dissolves. Epictetus taught, if someone irritates you, realize that it is your judgment that has irritated you. The insult has no power until you accept it. Silence, therefore, is a shield. When you don't react, the attacker loses ground. He expected drama, confrontation, validation. What he gets instead is stillness. The energy he threw at you bounces back on him. His anger becomes uncomfortable, and you, standing calm, become the center of gravity in the room. That calm is not passivity, it's dominance. You're saying without words, your attack doesn't deserve my attention. Marcus Aurelius wrote, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. When you stay calm, you win the attack without needing to win the argument. Mastering this first step gives you time, and within that time lies freedom. The second step is to deflect. If silence is the shield, deflection is the sword. After the pause comes the question. This is the Stoic weapon: logic. While most people respond with justification or counterattack, the wise respond with curiosity. The secret is to ignore the content of the attack and focus on the intention behind it. Imagine someone says, that report you made is a disaster. Clearly, you didn't put in any effort. The reactive person says, that's not true, I worked all week on it. The Stoic calmly replies, I see. What exactly would you like to see improved? Instantly, the focus shifts. The other person must now justify his tone. Another example, someone mocks you. You always have to be the know-it-all, huh? The normal answer would be, I'm not a know-it-all, I just gave my opinion. The Stoic answer, I sense a lot of intensity in your tone. Is everything okay? Suddenly, the aggressor becomes the one under observation. Third example, the vague accusation, you never listen to anyone. The reactive response, of course I do. The Stoic one, thanks for pointing that out. Could you give me a specific example so I can understand better? The attack falls apart. Emotion loses to clarity. These questions are psychological keys. They appear calm, but they dismantle the aggressor's frame. You've left the emotional arena and entered the field of reason, and whoever controls the frame controls the fight. But the battle isn't over. The final move is to reframe. This is where you take back full control of the narrative. Reframing is the final stroke of mastery, turning the attack into something irrelevant. Back to the first example. After your question, the person says, "I just want the work done well." You respond, "Understood. I appreciate the feedback. I'll keep that in mind." And then you move on. The attack is dead. You didn't deny, justify, or promise anything. You simply treated it as neutral information. Second example. After the provocation, "You're such a know-it-all," the other person starts to backtrack. "No, I was just saying that." You reply, "I understand. Sometimes I misread the tone." And you continue your point. Instantly, you've reframed the event as minor and moved forward. You've shown that the attack never landed. This third step is the peak of Stoic power. Seneca said, "No one can harm me without my consent." By reframing, you refuse to grant that consent. You've turned the attack into air. Reflect, deflect, reframe. 3 steps, 1 mindset. This isn't about winning arguments. It's about winning yourself. The emotional person is predictable. The calm person is untouchable. But beware of common traps. The first is over-justifying. When you rush to explain, you sound guilty. The second is counter-attacking. When you strike back, you give away your control. The third is sarcasm. Sarcasm is just disguised pain. To master this art, train the pause. For the next 7 days, practice silence when provoked. Just breathe and observe. In the second phase, practice deflection. Answer with questions instead of reactions. In the third, practice reframing. End conversations with serenity. With time, something inside you shifts. People realize they can't shake you. You become solid, composed, respected. Others trust those who command themselves, because that kind of control is rare. Remember, the Stoic's true power is not over others, but over himself. The enemy isn't outside, it's impulsiveness, pride, and ego. When you defeat these, no external attack can touch you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of the privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to love." That awareness makes every insult meaningless. The world is full of small battles, at work, at home, online. Most people fight them with ego and emotion and end up wounded. The Stoic walks differently. He moves through chaos as a general through a storm, seeing every attack as a test of character. Reflect, deflect, reframe. 3 movements. 1 unshakable mind. Practice them until they become instinct. Until, in the face of an attack, your first reaction is silence, your second a question, and your third a quiet smile. When that day comes, you'll know you've achieved mastery. Not mastery over others, but over yourself. If this video brought you clarity and strength, subscribe to Stoic Spring. Every video here is a lesson to strengthen your mind, protect your peace, and grow in maturity. Because when you make it a habit to care for your inner peace, you become a fortress that no attack can ever break. Write in the comments which step you'll practice first. Reflect, deflect, or reframe. I want to know your answer.